Welcome to another episode of Aaron's Adventures. The adventure we're on today is, well, the adventure we're going to be going on is I'm going to be going out to the Nullarbor at the Great Australian Bight, and if you click subscribe and all that, you can join me in on that one. It'll be a couple of months from now before I get back from being out in the wilderness to put that up on YouTube. But that's where we're going, and to go out there, it really would help if we had a working fridge. I'm doing this upload because I went on YouTube myself to try and sort of troubleshoot the whole thing. Have figured out that it is actually the thermostat that's gone. It seems to be a common problem. There's a few other videos on YouTube on how to do this. And what was happening basically, it was running and it just wouldn't stop, and it would just freeze everything to death. It just wouldn't turn off and on. So obviously thermostat problem. So there's no. I know other people have had other issues with it. Generally, this has been a great fridge. This is quite old. This thing's about at least 10 years old, and she's been all around the countryside, and she's still going. So it's worth saving. I don't know if you can zoom in on the part number on this. Can you? It actually says it's for a CF80. This one's for a CF50. Some of the other uploads I think were CF60. I don't think it really matters in that sense. I mean, the temperature is what it is, and it doesn't really, what size fridge you got doesn't change the whole 5-degree mark, does it? So we'll give it a crack anyway. This is what they sent us. Well, another upload that one guy did, it was a pretty good upload, quite informative, is he actually cut a knife with a knife and cut it out. You know, the thermostat's underneath it in the centre there, and he sliced it out and cut open the foam. You might have seen it. It's not a bad one, but he doesn't show you actually him soldering the wires or actually doing it or actually cutting it. He just sort of shows the end result. There's another young fella did the same thing. He actually took the cover off, which I more like the sound of doing, so I don't really like the idea of butchering this up and making it so that moisture can get in underneath there. I know what it looks like underneath, but he didn't show it actually in the process of taking it off. So I'm going to do that, and even if I make a mess of it, I'm going to record it anyway. If I butcher it, I'm going to record it anyway. So at least you can learn from this. So if you want to tackle it yourself, then we can always just share the information. You might be able to have the confidence to at least go at it, because that's what I was concerned about, is can it be done? Can it be removed without damaging it? And I do believe you can. I've come this far. Is basically I've just taken this cover off, that's it. And the thing I recommend is you go to the bank, obviously the bank that you're with, and ask them for a bag of these money bags. They don't charge you for it, they'll just give you a wad of these for nothing. They're fantastic, because what I do is I tend to get sidetracked with projects. I don't know if anyone else out there is like that. You're doing something and then the missus goes and asks you to go and mow the lawn or something like that, and you get sidetracked from it, and then you end up losing track of which screw goes where, not just for this but for anything that you do. So I usually like to separate the screws in little bags. And if it is quite a complex thing that you're doing, I get one of them little sticky pad things and just draw a little illustration or something of what it is that you're doing, and put little an arrow as to where the screws came from. And that way, if a couple of weeks goes by and you don't get back around to getting into it, you can come back thinking, oh, where did the screws go for this? And so if they're all separated, then you know that. I know that these 4 big screws down the side here were those ones there. There are a different one that's for that. And these small screws, which seem to be the majority of it, were for the screws that go around here. There's 3 down the side there, 3 down the side there, 3 across the back there, and that's it for that. So that's all those screws. And you've got these bigger ones which have washers, which I found that after I just took that cover cap off there like that, it all just stays in one piece. They were across here, there's 2 there, and all across there, same sort of screws there. So that way, I think it was about a week ago I did that, so I'm glad I did it. And I found that this will move. I don't like the idea of messing with this too much, because you've got piping and whatnot that have the gases and everything in it. You don't want to damage that, otherwise it's sayonara to the fridge. Another bloke I noticed on YouTube, he bent these back a little bit, which I think can be advantageous to make things a bit more manoeuvrable, and they could easily be bent back again. Another person on YouTube upload actually untook the whole thing, because the thermostat that we've got goes right through to a plug, as you can see. I think rip that open. I've got to do it anyway. Like my Stanley knife that I get it open with. Should have done this before, shouldn't I? I don't need that anyway. So that's your thermostat there, and it goes with a little plug, and that plug eventually goes into the top of the control panel up there. I don't really want to take things any more apart than what I have to. I am good with electronics, so I'm actually going to use the other guy's technique of cutting into that and splicing into the 2 wires that are in there. According to my electrician mate, he says that the which way around the wires go does count, so we're going to make sure we just get that. But their colour, I think one's red and one's black, as if that's not, if I'm not incorrect. Yeah, they are marked. One's got marking on it, one doesn't. So we'll just make sure we get them around the right way. The trick was that the one young fella, he took this off, but he didn't show us doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo it and see how we go. We've got another, after you've taken that off, there's 3 more screws under there. I'm just going to quickly take that off. I think I used my cordless drill before with this one, but they're only those small ones. They shouldn't take too long. And if they're different again, are they the same or are they different? So these ones are pointed headed. There's 2 different sorts. I should have paid attention to that. One's a pointed sort, one's flat. This is the flat type. I'm thinking that the flat type ones were the ones down that side there. But we'll put them in that same bag there. There's not too many screws other than this. I think this is the last 3, so it doesn't really matter too much. We'll get that right in the end. Just make note that these ones are the flat ones. There you have it. 1, 2. All I've had to use tool-wise for this basically is just we need a flathead screwdriver I'm going to use. If we have to use another tool, we'll soon find that out, and a Phillips head screwdriver. Just a regular one. And that's that. We'll slip them in that bag so they don't get lost. That's why I like these, because you can zip them up and then they don't go anywhere. You can chuck these aside and then you're laughing. Nothing worse than losing a screw. Okay, so next stage then obviously is to pop this off. I don't think there's any more screws. There's none down the bottom there. We've got those. I think there's insulation in there, and I'm pretty sure by the way it's moulded, this is put together first and they squirt it in there and they fill it from underneath and fill the whole thing, which is why the profile seems to match perfectly, which is why she's a bit of a bugger to get off. The other young fella did butcher it a little bit. I'm just stabbing that in there. What we want to do is basically start prying this. I can hear it sort of separating and cracking a bit. Yeah, you can hear that, can't you? Okay. I think it matters of getting scratched, because when I put the back of the car, it gets scratched anyway. This is not going to be easy. Oh, one thing the other fella said, which is quite handy, is this section where the handle is down the back here. He says getting it past that was a bit tricky, so I understand that. And I think he did say he was going to cut the insulation away a bit to make it easy to get off and on, which I think I like that advice. But, that could help. I think this is supposed to come up more this way, I think. This is probably rather awkward. He did say it was awkward. There you go, she's starting to move. You can hear it separating. Do the same other way. If it gets too boring, you want high speed up a little. You've got these bits to don't bore you to death. There you go, hear that? So all I'm doing is leaving it off the edge with a flat blade, keeping it that way. I think the broader the flat blade screwdriver you have, the better. It's just taking a fair bit of force to make this happen. She has come up a bit. I've got a funny feeling that once it starts to go, it should be a lot easier after that. I've got to be careful of is that there's a pipe that runs under there. I don't want to damage that. And if we do damage the fridge, post the video anyway. At least other people can learn from it. Don't do this, you know. Otherwise, this is what happens. Yeah, it's starting to make the sound now. I think I'm going to make a bit of a butcher of this bit here, but I don't really care how it looks. If it's not working, what's the point? There we go. can get my hands under it. It's burned out. It's just ripped in there. Let's see if I can do the same to the other side. There you go, she's starting to... I hope that sound isn't even rustic. Gee, but she's well stuck in there. But now it would be maybe some off the production line might come up a bit easier than others. This a bit more. Is it a damage or is that actually loosening it? I don't think there's any glue or anything like that. He didn't indicate that there was any glue there. It's mainly just this insulation foam that seems to be causing the friction of it all. Yeah, that's coming quite a bit now. Yeah, made a right butchery of that. As my old boss used to say, I made a meal out of that. I'm just going to bend these back a little bit more. Don't harm in that. It's more important to protect this part here. Nothing touching on there. Just going to check that. I can get now why the other guy just wanted to slice into the bottom and just did it that way. I don't blame him. For some reason she actually has come up. It's starting to move. It really needs a bit of grip. It seems to keep coming up better from this side. I don't know why. It's something better to lever off it. I'm not sure whether this is more frustrating or more embarrassing, but I can feel that it's gone through the foam. You can feel the actual tin of the fridge now to about that much in. I don't want to damage that. There we go. It's felt like it's shifting a bit more now. I'm trying to move this across here to not do much damage into one particular spot. You see, I'm punishing that a little bit, but have we got a larger flat blade down here, mate? I think one with a bit longer handle might actually do the trick. I'm going to have to lose the hat. I hope you can still recognise me. feel if I could just separate that enough there and get under it from that side. And then, yeah, see, you're starting to see that now. So you've got some light between there and there. What I might have to do is actually screw these two bits back in, and then that'll hold that out the way. You know what I mean? As I bend that back, it'll give me more chance in that way not to do any damage to these fins or the pump unit. There, I might just do that. Oh, she's a bit of a humour there, eh? So these were the ones that screws that did that. I'll grab a couple of them. Crap, I'm sweating like a pig. That'll do it, we don't have to go all the way in. Just enough to hold it back. I'm trying to get sweat into this circuitry. And just put it on the outside edge. Alright, that'll do it. And that'll do. So we've got that one up above that one. I'm glad there's a 50 litre, not a 60. I imagine it'd be worse with a things under there yet. Jeepers, she doesn't want to let go. I think these things are certainly not meant to be pulled apart, they just want you to go and buy a new one. Now she's starting to make some sounds, that's good. I can just get my hand under that. Almost can. No, not quite, nearly. Oh dear, I've done nearly nothing. I haven't cracked the plastic yet. I haven't emphasised the word yet. I haven't cracked it. I haven't injured my face yet. That'd be funny. Ah, interesting, we've popped it out on this side. This edge here. You can see that. We're kind of committed now. I feel like once we get some separation across that surface of that, we might be able to finally get it to go. What should be the title of this video? and struggles with Waeco Fridge. Now we have separated it here. It's starting to come. It's a case of getting grip on it. I should have a different sort of tool than what I'm thinking about, like a strip of steel with a little lip on it, tucked in under, something you get a hold of it and pull it. Might have a greater chance of it. You know. Yeah, so inside there's nothing to lever on. Maybe I might try having more success on the other side in pulling this, because if you pull inside it, there's just foam under there that's just pushing through that insulating foam. I've gotten this far, but here we go. Get some air between that and the insulation. This I don't like the idea of doing it sooty, just form the shape of it. I can almost get my hand under that. See if we can bend it a little more. I don't really want to. But double checking I haven't pinched any of these pipes, so far so good. I knew it was going to be tricky, but I really didn't think it'd be this tricky. If it can come this far, I think it can go further. I can see I've definitely separated it from the insulation underneath. That's for sure. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to pry it. On this side, I'm just going to do a damage. You know, I think the answer is a bigger screwdriver. I think I need something with a bit larger area. Let's tackle that again in a minute. Well, I was searching out for a bigger screwdriver, which is not a lot, it's a little bit longer. What I did find though is this square. I'm thinking if I can get that under there, I'll try the smaller one first.
Aaron, just better show the square to the viewers.
I think they know what a square looks like, mate. If you're keen enough to do this, you know what one of those is. If you don't know what a square is, then I'd just say go buy yourself a new fridge and tackle it. There you go. If I can get that under there, because it's steel on my strip, because I did make, yeah, there you go, got that under there and got that under there. I think this is just a video on how weak am I. We've got to be able to have the bottom section clamped down in some way. is helping or not. The problem is that as I lift, just the weight of the fridge isn't enough to. I moved it. Bent the square. It's not square anymore. Let's call it a banana now. But we've got it up that far. Let me just yank out the fingers. Yeah, it seems to be. The more I can ship that out of the way, the better. It is a tight fit. No argument there. See if we can bend it back the other way and fix it. Ding dong. You got friends, press pause. Okay.
What was that yesterday?
Well, part 2. Glad for that intermission, that kind of helped. What I'm trying to do now is just making sure that it is actually not stuck and that it is separated. I've got a longer screwdriver on the side there. Stuck to it. It doesn't feel like it is. I've done the sun the other side. This should go. Like it shouldn't be too much more. I think we've kind of come this far. Nothing that. So I need to get a bit of leverage. Jeepers. She's coming. That's the thing, she's definitely coming. If I can get a bit of footage here. Oh, gotcha. Can we edit in some of that music of the big rejoicing music? You know, the one that
Oh,
you know what I mean? That big, like there's a massive choir in the background.
Oh, I think
or the crowd roar or something.
Far out, about time there.
Yeah, that's probably what everybody else is saying. About time. We did it. Alright. With not too much damage. That doesn't bother me. That could be straightened up. We can probably cut that off with a bit of a knife. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The other guy, he made a right butchery of this part. That's not so bad. This edge here. She copped some scratches across here. I'm going to clean that up with a knife. I don't really care about the name Waeco getting scratched because who cares now? But it's doable. I don't know how long that took. I think it certainly was after the intermission. Once I got a bit more fluid back into me, it seemed to have come. But we did it. So part 2 is we just got to get underneath this part here, which is where the thermostat should be just underneath it. And then I'll actually show you wiring that up. I'll actually show you myself doing that, rather than just say, oh, look what I did. It's okay. But this is what the other guy meant. I think this section here, get the knife and just trim that back a little bit, make that angle a bit larger. But I don't think that's really what was holding us back. It was just getting that first section off. Once you once we got to about that 1/3 mark, then she let go. So how long did that take? About half an hour? I must have lost 5 kilos doing that one. That's always good, isn't it? So we'll go get ourselves a knife and we'll go to part 2. Success. We didn't really do any damage in here. That's all alright. I didn't do any damage to the pipe going down into here. You can see that. You can see it dips down there quite readily. There's a pipe just in there. But it's got a spring around it to kind of protect it. And all that's intact, so I think we're okay there. And there is a You can see that. You can see there's a bit of a, I've got this piece of wood here. Let's get the vacuum cleaner out, just clean up all that loose stuff. And that's where it goes down in there. I think that was the point that I was levering off. I think you can see there's a bit more to this side. I think that was where I was having more success this side on it because the screwdriver, I can see it's still just here. I was managing to lever this part here a lot easier. This side here I was struggling with because there's nothing, yeah, there's just foam sort of there at that distance. That's why from the fan side of it, I was going to have a bit more success in the beginning of getting that going. But, alrighty, let's go. Just now need to find a Stanley knife and then get those tools and we'll slice that open.
Could you tap 3 times? Thank you.
Right, part 3. I couldn't find my Stanley knife. I've just got this little paring knife. I can get it from the shop, the $2 thing. I'm sure if you grab one of those out of the drawer, your missus is going to be wrapped. But I've gone straight in there with it like that. It's down about, it's about an inch thick in foam. And I know that it's in the centre, so I've sort of gone off to about the 1/3 mark. I know that the cable runs off that way, according to everybody else's video. And I've just cut around it like that, at about 100 mil, about 4 inches. Get it right down to the bottom there. You don't really want to I don't want to scratch the steel underneath because if they start eating away of the coating on it, you could just cause rusting and stuff like that in the steel. So I want to avoid that. I'm going to watch this side because the cable's that one. I don't really want to hack up the cable if I can avoid it, so I won't go too deep with that one. And now I'm going to try and pry this open. Just so I don't crush the thing too much, I'm just pry it onto my hand. I'll ruin that one. One thing though is you can get those cans of, oh that's not too bad, there you go. You just stick it, actually might probably be better. There's a piece of wood here. Stick that piece of wood on it. That's better. Those. Not too bad. Yeah, so you can see if you come over with it where the camera get a bit better shot of that. So I'm glad those other people did those videos, or I wouldn't really have known about this part. But at least we've seen that. So as I said, coming down with a knife on the motor side, just watch where you're going through. You don't really want to hack that up if you can avoid it because we need that bit of cable to do the splicing. So that little plastic bit, they mentioned that's obviously where that's going to go. So it looks exactly the same. And whatnot. So we're just going to, I'm going to hack that off there and just get at the wiring. And clean that off and we get that flat blade there. Hang on, that plastic anyway, so that's not going to make any difference. I might get the vacuum in there and just vacuum up all this loose stuff. So hang on to that, but obviously when that goes in there, we need to get some of that. I think I've got some of, when I put my, when I did my computer, I've got some of that compound and I'll put my my CPU in there. I've still got some of that left. Have you got any of that stuff? Or?
Yeah, I should.
I think no, because I don't use that much of it. Everything's like we got it from the computer shop.
Yeah, it's called thermal paste.
Thermal paste, that's the stuff. Yeah, and I only use like a tiny bit of it when I put the CPU in. I think I've got some in my computer box. I'll have a look in there. I'll get that out in a minute. But then the next stage is we want to tap into that. So it doesn't matter if we've got. I might try as far out as possible. Because when we go to the new one, where's that gone? I'm sitting on it. We've lost it already. Here we are. That's handy. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit longer, we can just sort of like wobble that in there and just stick it onto the base of it. It doesn't have to be exact. But to give us a little bit more movement, I might just slice that off there. Off there. Not going all the way down on that one. And flat blade screwdriver. There we go. Just pop that off there. We can always stick that back in. So there she goes there. That's a bit of moisture there too. You think is that from the sweat off my head or anything? Any hoots? The wire, I feel it goes hard about there. The wiring's about at that stage just there, so we know what we need is cutters. Gee, we're all really prepared today, aren't we? Where's the side cutters? I think we got them. Right. Here's leaving knives lying around, that's really good, pretty safe. What have we got here? Let's go this one. Yeah, 2 wires there. Need to get round to that. And then there's probably, actually no, the same thing will probably do the trick. Don't go all the way through it. That couple of little knife might be better. We'll start out with a knife. It's pretty thin. I don't really want to lose that. Make it any shorter than what I have. Again, unprepared. Oh yeah, this will do. What I just want to do is just enough to do that. Yeah, a bit of, you've probably got some proper wire strippers, which I have a pair, but I don't know where the heck they are. There you go. I'm just sort of squeezing it. I wasn't going right through. I was just sort of grabbing at it a bit and just pulling at it. You only go right through that. I'll just double check that I haven't cut into it, which I have not. No, she's okay. They are stuck together, those two. I'll just get my awesomely long fingernails, which I don't have anymore if I keep biting the things. And just cut that up the centre of it. You're getting close on that.
A few ticks.
Usually just like just cut out in the middle of that one and then get your fingernail in there. And you can pull the two apart. Give ourselves a bit of meat there to play with. Gives us plenty of room, because I'm going to use heat shrink tubing because that is the stuff to go for. Don't just use electric tape, so that comes away. We're going to do this properly. Again, some proper wire strippers would be the go. But, what sometimes happens, I have like a bodgy pair of these where I've gone and cut through a piece of wire that's too strong and hard for it, and you end up making like a notch in your cutters, which wrecks your cutters, but it actually has an advantage because it actually turns it into a pair of wire strippers. And that enables you to just gently get a look at that. The wire inside is quite soft. It tears easily, and the insulation around it is quite strong, so watch that one. I'll just go back a little bit further. There we go. Twist that up. And there's that one. Now, I'm going to go put the glasses on. One of them has writing on it and the other one doesn't.
Glasses?
Oh, thanks very much. Very good. Look at that. This one's good. Well, you know, mate, this one doesn't. This one's good. He says it has to go around the right way, doesn't it?
Yeah, normally.
How we know whether because normally the other one has the outside insulation has the writing on it. The wires inside do not. They're just black and black.
I do have a meter there, which has actually got a thermocouple input there, and if we plug that into the meter, we might be able to measure the temperature on that, and then we know which polarity it's the right polarity, which cadence is the right polarity.
So really, what we should do is connect it, like stick it on there. You're saying, before we put anything back together again, actually turn it on and run it, and check it that way.
I think that's a wise decision there.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem to show as it. It shows on this one though. This one, no, that's what I'm getting at. This one of these wires has writing on one side, on one of the wires, and the other one's blank, showing which way is which. But this wire here does not have that. I lie. No, I'm just blind. Here it is. No, I found it. Right. No, there it is. There is writing on one side. There it is. There. I'm just blind. Thanks to these glasses. And so that one does. That one doesn't. That's excellent. Okay, that saves that problem. Okay, so I'm going to pull that back as far as we can. We don't want that side. We want this side. I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra meat there, because just in case if you butcher it, make a mess, don't cut it like exactly to the length. If you mess it up, then you've gone a bit too short. So do we need that bit of piping? Probably not, do we? Hang what we'll do, if we can get that on there, how much of it do we need? Just a bit from there to there. We'll just go that first, and have some excess. That from there to there. Probably don't actually even need that on there, to be honest. I can't see why we would. These are all one, that's the thing that's stuffed. It's not the wire that's stuffed, it's that unit there. It could go a little bit less. There's a fair bit of meat there, isn't there? Let's go a little less than that. It's the same technique. And while I was up there, I should have grabbed the heat shrink tubing. Did I get it? No. What a banana here. This is so professional, the way it's just so unprepared. But thankful we have an editing department. It was like some of my earlier videos, which are super lame. There's no really editing done whatsoever because I was just too lazy. So a lot of thumbs down there on that one, but you get that. Okay, so we are heat shrink tubing goes on first. I used to make that mistake in my car stereo days. You solder the thing together, and then you just find out that you've gone and forgotten all about the heat shrink tubing, which is not cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the first person there.
Oh, mate, especially like an alarm system in a car, and you've got like 50 wires, and you just leave on 2 of them, you solder together. It's like, oh no, and you've got to cut the thing and do it again. Because the boss insists that you've got to go the heat shrink tubing. And I'll grab that one. We'll edit that out. Alrighty, does that PowerPoint work?
Oh, yes, it does, no?
Excellent.
That's going to sort of tone down the background there because it's just too bright.
Okay.
Yeah.
These wires are quite slim. That's the other thing, I should have grabbed the box and matches it. So that'll do, that's the one. And those bits go. Oh yeah, I'll get a lighter, that's alright. I was going to use the cordless soldering iron, but I don't know where the tip is. I think it's in one of the other boxes.
I'll be back if you ticks.
You can edit that in. Okay, so which one's got the words on it? That one there. That one doesn't. That one's got the words. That one doesn't. So the way I twist it together is the proper way. You go around like that. And around like that. Create a join that's like that. What you don't do is you don't join the ends like that and then twist it around like that. Okay, that's not the way to do it. You go halfway, like cross it over like an X, and bend one way and then bend one the other, and then you kind of spiral them around each other. Around that way. So that they're like, if you do fishing, then you've probably done some of your fishing lines in a similar fashion. So they're long ways like that. You need to open this up a fair bit because when you go to solder the thing, you don't want your heat shrink tubing to melt onto the wire. So it can get a little bit close. Has that gotten hot yet? There we go. And that tip needs a bit of a clean. That doesn't matter. Should be right, mate. You got the shakes for that. I think I need too much coffee. Not enough food. Yeah. You'll know because you'll see it running smooth. It's like it's blobby on the outside. That's not done right. Get that underneath. There you go. It's gotten into it right from underneath. Once it gets hot enough, it's usually alright. You'll see it run like a river into the actual into the core of it. There you go. There you go. That's how it's done. Like that. So I might redo the other side. That's a good example. That looks good. That one does not. So, straighten that up. Tip my soldering iron's a bit dirty there. See it? There she goes. better. Yeah, it's run right into it now. So that's that. I'm going to quickly unplug that one because we don't want to set fire to the carpet. Okay, so that's that. It won't take long. That's what I mean by like, just sometimes also watch your soldering line. You don't accidentally touch the heat shrink tubing because then it melts that and then you're stuffed. So we'll get a good bit of that. Put that right over the top of that. Right there, right over the top of that. Get them at the same time. And just melt them suckers together. Don't use electric tape, especially in a situation like this. With once you get this back together again, you don't want to. You don't want to have to do that twice. It's really the thing. That's not fun. Lovely, they're good. I'm just going to double check that I'm not mess this up. Yeah, the words are on that one. No writing on that one. No writing on that one. Words on that one. We've got it the right way around. Glad I got that little bit there. I'm just going to use that and tuck that over the top of that to protect the joint. Feed that through from this side. Yeah. So there you go. Slide that over that. Get that up out the way into there. So as I say, if it curves underneath like that a little bit and wobbles around, that doesn't matter. Having that bit of excess calyx, we've tucked on the other side of that, that's alright. Now, where did our plastic bit go? That goes on there. That's going to go on there. And it was right next to this, that little lump that's on there, isn't it? And that will go in there. We just need some of that thermocoupling goop. I'll just call it goopity goop. Where is that? Pause that one. You get a chip nearby? No, I think mine's in my computer box.
Beautiful, just rotate it.
Are you out of focus?
You know, it's
Here, put your glasses on.
Oh no, put my glasses up. Could you rotate it?
Put the glass on the camera.
Could you rotate it in a way?
I think people get the idea, mate, because you could be watching it on the other side of the states or something like that. I think I got mine from PLE Computers, and they're Australia wide.
Yeah. Just my camera, their camera angle, couldn't see the words there properly. No? Yeah.
And I think people get the idea that you know what I mean.
I'm sure they do.
If you come this far, you should know your salt by now. We want to stick that on there, don't we? Turn that over. I've put too much in there, so that should splodge on all right. Might be wise actually if I got some glue gun, actually glue gun that down. Do you think? Or do you think probably not necessary?
I think we should test it out first, Stephen.
No, I've got faith in it. I'd love to pull that thing all off again twice over just for the heck, you know.
Yeah, well, folks, as I said, we all ad-lib in it.
We all make the mistakes. That was the whole idea of this video. If I stuff this up, just put it on anyway. How long does that take to set? I can't remember. I just screwed down, clamp down the CPU and then just let it go.
That is actual thermal paste. It doesn't actually set at all there. It's
so hold that there. Because there was never any screws or anything into that though. So what held it there before? I think actually there was some of that hot glue.
Yes, indeed.
There's hot glue there to hold it down.
Well, looks like I might have to sort of pause the video.
Pause and go get some hot glue.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any on me.
Okay.
I've got some somewhere.
Yeah, sure. Now, whenever you're ready there, just...
Are you recording?
Yeah, just give it 3 claps there, thanks, Stephen.
Alrighty, so we've glued that down with a bit of 10,000-year-old glue. Done the trick, got that in there. I'm pretty confident. We did run a test on the old one, and this is definitely the problem, but most people won't have that kind of a meter. I'm not going to glue this in, but we did a pretty good job of cutting that off. I butchered it a little bit. Kind of made a bit of a meal out of it. And I think that'll hold it down nicely once the base of that goes back into it. Which bit is that bit? It's a bit like a funny jigsaw now, isn't it? It's not that. So that's not it. Oh, who cares? Stuff that on there. That's good enough. Oh, hang on. Yeah, does that look like that bit? Forget it. Doesn't matter. It's good enough. I don't think that's going to change the taste of our meat. Righty. So let's. Hopefully, putting this back on will be easier. Thankfully, we didn't make too much of a butchery of this, like I said. Got that fairly straight. pliers. Usually do it. Strip that down, get that muck off there. I think it was already there anyway. It's fairly straight. And that bit there. I'll just get the screwdriver and tap that in. But not that bad. I thought I was going to make a lot more of a mess of that in the process of it. I think I made more of a mess of myself. I know I was saying about cutting that thing off there, but I'm not going to do that. I think, what the heck, I think it might stay on there better if it was there. So I'm not going to take the other fella's advice. I'm just going to push it on and use my fat bum to... Oh, well, hang on, we've got to get that under there. Oh, now he's done it. Sort of rusted a bit there, didn't I? I'll make sure that, let's see. Make sure that goes into there. I really should have made sure that I've gone that side first and tucked that in before I went hard down on that. So there's a lesson learnt. Hopefully other people can learn from that one. Before I went and sat down on that, I should have really... It came off on an angle, didn't it? So I should have made sure that I put it back down on an angle. Let's see if we can back up a bit. Right. Yeah, I'm past it. So that's probably what's giving it such a hard time. It's because that bit there, the bulge on it.
So much friction on it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of what locks it into place. Kind of need 10 hands to get that in. It'll go in that way all right. It's not going to... I think I want to... Okay, so So it's flexing there really huge, isn't it? So I think, yeah, that's what I should have done. It's gone in at an angle. I'm deja vuing it before.
I guess it'd be nice if I actually held the other end for you, know, and be able to sort of yank it up a bit easy, you know.
I think it's gonna. It's mainly the curve in this plastic. It's flared out, but once it's tucked in, maybe in the factory when it's made, there's a machine that sort of tucks it in and slips in there automatically. But well, lesson learnt for everyone. That was the whole idea of doing this, was so that you learn from my errors and then you don't make them. So get that up on an angle. And then, there we are. That's where I kind of need more than one screwdriver.
Do you reckon would it help my foot on the handles?
I just need a... There you go, once that's under that side, here I was saying I didn't make too much of a butcher of it, now putting it back together again, I'll probably make a mess of it. There we are. Just trying to curl like this toilet. There we are. Once you get those corners in, it's really just the centre. It's a bit like trying to put on a bicycle tube. So I'm kind of lifting that away, and you can hear it lifting away from the insulation behind it. I don't want to do too much. Here we go. Maybe a rubber mallet might help. Saves you. Right. Not bad. Oh, there you go. Where'd you get that from? Everybody gets a rubber mallet in their lounge room, don't they? There we go. It's starting to flare a bit there, but once it's under that lip, we should be alright. Bit of insulation sticking out there. Shoulder this in. Well, there's your lesson learnt. Make sure you get that end in first before you push that end there in down, and have a rubber mallet. So in the process of doing that, I'll probably break something else. Ah, there you go, look at that. Stuff that up. I'm not pulling that back out. Where's that knife? Too many cutters. I'm just going to lose that. So forget it. So too bad. There we go. Just a casualty of war. Everything else is tucked in there. I reckon not bad. Just need Homer Simpson to come sit on it. I'm actually trying to go for that strong corner, not hitting over here. You can see it's pretty close to the screw point there, so I'm not far off it. Well, now that's down to it. I can see the insulation there. So is that. I can see it. It's just this corner here actually. I can see the screw holes are close. Yeah, I can see the insulation's close. And there, and through there. That's not too bad at all. A working fridge is better than no working fridge. It might be a little bit millimetre out from factory, but overall I don't think it really matters. Do you know what I mean? In terms of it operating and what it is, I don't think it's going to be a concern. I can see the screw point there. Once that's clamped down, I don't think it'll be a problem. Bashing it about is probably doing more damage than good. Pretty even. Call that a success by the look of it. I did, before, you didn't see this, but I vacuumed up and got all the little loose bits out of there to make sure there's nothing in its way, and got any of the debris out of the grooves, because there's bits of plastic in there that you really want to make sure they sit in there, so they've got anything in the way that could cause a problem. So, I reckon put it back together, plug it in and see if that has solved the problem. Now we have to bend these carefully. To bend them back, what I might do actually is take this out separate and bend it without this there's still no breeze out there, is there? It's a really still day today. Otherwise I'd have that window open. So I'm going to hold my brace at the bottom and bend it in from there. Let's see if we can shift it out of the way. There we go, over bend it. Yes, so I'm sort of bracing at the back of that and then pushing forward from there, bending past it. Once that's locked in there, I don't think it'll be an issue. But we didn't damage anything, the piping was still good. Wires are still good. Yeah. Your hi-fi is now ruined.
By about me then.
So going backwards the other way, we had 3 screws underneath there, didn't we? And if you recall, those 3 screws had flat bases. So which were, because there's 2 different sorts. One of them has the pointy bits, which was the first things I took out. These ones here, there and there, and down the sides of this one. But the other ones had little flat bases. So we'll go with them first. If I've gone deep enough, it should bite in. Which it has. Nice. We made it. Obviously down. If it wasn't down low enough, you'd know your thread wouldn't reach that because they're not very long. Only about barely 1/4 of an inch long. So none of this is a promotion for Waeco. Of all the old fellas I know out in the deep bush, I mean the hardcore blokes, man, they live it rough and ready. They all have end gel fridges. A whole lot of them. I don't really see many out of them at all that's got Waecos. They mostly go end gel because they're all metal casing and they're still working. You see them in the back of their utes, it's just covered in dust and dirt, and they've got bits of rust around the corners of it, and they're still running to this day, and they've had them for years. So I can't knock an end gel fridge. So if anyone out there says, oh, end gel's better, you should have got an end gel, not arguing with you. Not arguing at all. But I picked this up at a good price at the time, so it doesn't matter. Damns the brakes. So we'll get these 2 back before we lose these 2. Push them in after. I think we'll go these ones here next. And that should be it. Like this has been if this works, then I'd call this a good success in the sense that we pulled a minimal amount of it apart. I really didn't like the idea of having to, you know, pull the whole thing apart just to plug that in. That was a lot easier, just the time it took to just solder that up and do it that way. It surely was a lot easier than trying to pull all this apart and get that just to plug it into the module. I think it's necessary. There is another video I watched, another guy, the guy did it. He did pull it apart just to plug it into there. He didn't show himself pulling it apart, and that's what really put me off. That's why I'm doing this video in full, because if you're going to try and fix it, and hopefully this video will help you have the confidence to know what to do, what not to do, and how long it'll take, and how much sweat's going to pour off your forehead in the process. Well, it did for me. I'm just weak. But if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm a historian, not a Waeco fix-it repair man. But if it can save spending $1,000 on another one, that's the go. There was this other video on YouTube, and anyone else has managed to click on it, where the guy just gets ticked off with it. So he gets out a hammer and he just smashes it to pieces. And I think he's had more thumbs down than thumbs up. He's just stupid. The least he could have done is strip the thing down for parts and put it on Gumtree or something like that, and just go and sell the bits to someone else. Someone else might have a fridge that's similar and just wants other parts off it. Because I'm pretty sure it was just the electronics that were wrong. Probably nothing wrong with the air compressor, nothing wrong with the fan. Someone else might have wanted those bits, and even if you just get $20 for it, it was better than just smashing it at the smithereens. He didn't really troubleshoot that one quite fully. I think you might find that could have been repaired. Just a matter of just, replacing the right item for a few bob. But he had more of a modern one. This is a really old fridge. This is old CF50. This would have been back from 2010 at least. So this is like, what, 9 years ago? It's about roughly a decade old. But the older ones that didn't have all that fancy electronics, with the digital screen. This has just got the regular, it's just got the numbers, the digital screen of the. It's more the analog screen, sorry, just what the temperature is, and that's it. It doesn't have, my brother had one like this, but it had that, the digital bar that shows the temperature up and down, and they're the ones that seem to fail. The more electronics you involved, the less reliable things seem to be. old school stuff seems to be a bit more reliable, especially when you're talking like going out bush. You know, it's where they're supposed to go, isn't it? Like out in the wilderness, you're going to hot rain or dust, vibrations. You know, sometimes the simpler things, the way they are, the way they go there. I know of this hidden shack out in the bush that has 2 kerosene refrigerators in it from the 1950s, and they still work. No joke. You take a tub of kerosene out there, pour it in the bottom, light the wick, and mate, they work. No joke. They're still out there, just out in the bush. Anybody can duck in and use the place. I'm not going to say where it is. It's a nifty hidden shack. It's got a shower and everything. It's even got lighting in there. You just bring in your own 12-volt battery, plop it in the middle, and hook up these 2 terminals, and there's lights in the whole place and everything. It's really cool. You've got a dartboard there and a couch. It's out in the middle of the boomstick. It's excellent. But if this works, this will be going out with me out to the Great Australian Bight, where I'll be doing a historical trek. I'm actually doing 2 documentaries. Well, one will be a doco that I can't release yet until my book is released, so I can't discuss that one for copyright reasons. If anyone knows about writing a book, you can't become public notice until you've completed it and it's been published. But the other half, the actual journey itself and other historical things along the way, I will be touching on. I know that area very well, and I know I've been studying the history of that area for the past 10 years. And I'm going to cover everything from just the camping of it, the place itself, tips and techniques, even bush tucker out there, the lock, stock and barrel. You know, so if you want to join us on that journey, click subscribe and the bell thing, because that way it'll help you. You know, when I come back and actually upload it, you'll know that it's been uploaded, and you'll be able to join in on that one. It should be good. I've been preparing for this trip. It's good. The reason why I like it, I want to upload, is because it's I'm going out there anyway. But it is a part of the world that 99.9% of the population will never ever see. Even people who live here in Australia will never venture out there, because it is a costly trip in terms of distance, fuel, time and inconvenience of, like, there's no plumbing. And so you know, it's sort of the old shovel and the toilet roll, you know, using the shovel handle as a dispenser kind of a situation. But it can be quite easily done when you get used to it. And it's, even if you've got one of them fancy full off-road trailers, you know, things that cost like bloody thousands for those things, you'd probably be hesitant to take one of those out there. It is some seriously badass track. The track that we'll be taking, a lot of the old sections would have been the track from the original 1877 completed old telegraph line track. And I'll be running from almost the South Australian border right back through to Esperance and back again, and a lot of things in between. We'll be going caving, we're going fishing down there, or anything you can think of, it's all going to happen. So you can join us in on that one, that'll be great. If not, all the best. Hopefully this video has helped you, but it would only help you really if we're sure that it works. Now this is the interesting part. We've got 2 of those are flatheads, the rest of them are small pointy ones. And how many we've got of those? There was 3 down the side here. I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, I know these were pointy ones. And there's 3 there. 1, 2, 3. They'll all be the same unilaterally like that. Now I've got a feeling that these 2 here, because these 2, the flat ones, was there, because you wouldn't have an alternative screw. Yeah, I know. There you go. You would be, because definitely the pointy ones here, because it goes into that plastic like that. Whereas that one goes into actually a metal sleeve underneath that's in amongst the insulation. So your flat pointy ones go to the side there. That's what I'm saying. These are great. You know, put them as you take it apart, stick them in those bags just in case you get sidetracked. And your missus says, "Go mow the lawn," and then you go, "Hang on, I'm busy." But, and then you can find where you're at next time you come round to make sure that we've deal with that. Just curve like that. Oh, so it's got a little cut mark there, probably for a good reason. Make sure these wires are not in the way of anything. That's tucked in there. That goes like that. There we are, tuck the wires in that way. That's good. There we go. Get your hand up from underneath to get those wires into there. We don't want. That's it. Oh, by the way, when you get it, just check these plugs. I did find that when I first came here, all these plugs, one of them was a little bit loose, and this could cause a problem. So just check, you come this far, just check all these plug points here, and just make sure that they're all tucked in. That one's just got the insulations come away a bit, but the actual plug itself is in there. It's just the rubber surrounds them, so it'll come a bit floppy, but it is in place. I thought they would come out, but it hadn't. But just, yeah, check all your plugs, just make sure they're in the way there. If you've got an air compressor, blow any of the dust and muck out of it. Do that now while you can, and that is always better for any electronic connection, is to not have dust and debris in there. There we go. And like that. Lovely. Yeah, so the same again, outside edge first. Do the rubber mallet job again, do we? Oh, that's it. There we go. Nice. And chuck a Homer Simpson and whack your hand. You can if you want. Float your boat. I'm thinking, go this outside edge one first, because it was more of an action in that way, wasn't it, to get it to go in. When you're screwing into plastic, never overdo it. Just get it till it's firm and then stop. Because, you know, metal will win over plastic every time. So sometimes you know, wind it in, crank it, you end up just stripping the plastic out, and you just lost your tension. So overdoing it just doesn't mean it's going to be better. Just get it till it's just firm. That's it. That's all you need. You'll find that when if you pull your dashboard of your car apart and things, you can just check if the screw's screwing into plastic. Don't overdo it. Right. I might pay to high speed this bit up, and when you go and do the editing, mate. Should have got my cordless drill out. I haven't sped things up a bit there, but actually no, I ain't going to the plastic. I think doing it by hand, doing it up. I'm doing it by cordless drill, not a problem. But unless you like get the torque setting and put it on, you know, not too, so it doesn't wind it in too hardcore. Like I said, you don't want to strip the plastic. Gravity wins. 3 down the side. That's it. Now, if this doesn't work, it's going to be tin meat for me, which I'd rather not. I'd rather take a bit of fresh meat with me out there. And if I catch fish, it means I can keep the fish cold as well and catch a few more. Otherwise, if I can't get this running, if I do catch a fish, it'll be like, stop fishing, eat the fish, use another one for bait. But you can't hang on to it, so. But if this works, that changes everything. For some reason this side's not lighting up. Oh, here we go. Last screw. And then just till it's firm. We're out of screws, that way you know you haven't lost any because all 3 packets are empty, so we know we're good. That's all done. Fingers crossed that this is going to work. So this is one of the oldest sort. We'll get the lid for it and we'll get the thermometer. I'll grab that thermometer. You can do it with a bit of a clean, but I wasn't going to bother about cleaning it if the thing doesn't work. Or just cleaning a bit of junk. Turns on. It's reading 17. The thermometer was reading 19. It's kicked in, but it was doing that before anyway, so that doesn't mean anything. Because that was what it was doing. Because the thermometer was broken, it would just run and run and run. It just wouldn't stop. It would just freeze the bejeepers out of everything and never shut down. So, set temperature's on 8 degrees at the moment. We'll take it down to you want to know if it works, do you? So leave it at 8.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So if it shuts off at 8, then you're happy with that. It says 17, so that side of it's working, complete with dust. And we'll give it a minute, let it get down and see if it switches off. So, oh wait, people can't recognise me. Here we go. Otherwise they wouldn't know it was me. It's a bit like Superman, you know, you put his glasses on and think, where did he go? Clark Kent's here. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we verified it works, but we wanted to show it happen, but it worked so quickly. We set it down to 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it down a bit lower and see it kick in again. So if I go down, hang on, what's set? Down, hang on, there you go. Celsius. It's been a while since I've used this thing. Oh, okay, let's set it down to say 5. It should flash 3 times to let it know that it's accepted it. Kicked in. I just heard it. I've heard it, but I felt it. That's now kicked, now running. Well, that's proof it's working. That's proof in itself. So, but you know, like it just happened so quickly that we just didn't really have the camera rolling. But this is good. Like it's gone down to 6 already. So it should go down to about 4 degrees, and then it should stop. But that's verified. As far as I'm concerned, this is working. We did it. You know, it's our box is ticked. Means we can take it with me. It's worthwhile. It's actually worthwhile cleaning the thing out now. That'll help. And we can now actually catch more than one fish, which is brilliant. So, it can be done. You can do it. If I can do it, then you can do it. That's how to pull it apart. That's how to put it back together again. Just like your Humpty Dumpty. You can just tighten it up a little bit. I'll see if I've done that quite right.
I was hoping you set it at sort of 6 degrees, no?
Oh, I thought just...
Now it has to go to 4 degrees, no?
It won't take long. You can just how quickly, there you go, it's down to 5 already. Right, that's it, we've done it. Just in closing, forgive the pun, we've checked it, it's doing the deed, it's going down in temperature. And we've set it twice now, and it's turned off twice. It goes about a degree lower than what it's set to, and it shuts off. And that's what it wasn't doing before. It was just constantly running and would not turn off. It would just freeze the bejeepers out of everything. But it's now doing it. So it's running, it's working, we fixed it. That's how to do it. And thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to join in on the adventure that we're about to head off out to the Great Australian Bight, the Nullarbor. If you've never seen it, there's your chance. I'm going to film a fair whack of it. And add in a lot of history and all sorts. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope that helps. All the best.
Hey, all to patrons of Aaron's Adventures. I'm Wa. Humble apologies to our viewers, as the information I supplied to Aaron was not quite accurate. The temperature device is a thermistor, not a thermocouple. Thermistors are so resistor based and has no voltage output at all. Meaning that you don't have any wiring concerns related to correct polarity. Here's how you test a thermistor. You use a multimeter set in the kilo ohm range. I found that a forum called the Great Nomads, according to the this guru, DB, the Waeco thermistor should read around 10 kilo ohms at 25 degrees Celsius. So at room temperature, you should have a reading between 10 to 15.5 kilo ohms. Don't use any thermistor you can actually find on the internet.
The Waeco actually uses a NTC, which means a negative coefficient type thermistor. As you can see, it is actually a 10 kilo ohm at 25 degrees Celsius type. Now, when installing, use thermal paste, so a good contact or conduction made to the surface is maintained. Having that results in an accurate and quick responsive temperature reading. So it's a big no-no having it suspended in air, which results in inaccuracies and lag. And of course, when you actually open the fridge door there, the reaction time will be quite slow.